We're going to talk now about big ideas, about big thinking, about thinking outside of the box, about breaking the boundaries, about market shifts, about disruption. So I've read the book Big Think Strategy. It's subtitled How to Leverage Bold Ideas and Leave Small Thinking Behind. How to leverage bold ideas and leave small thinking behind. So how does one write a book about innovation, right? If you think about it, it's kind of counterintuitive, right? To write a book or sort of to create a process or to suggest a process or to suggest a strategy for how to think outside of the box. Isn't that sort of like boxing, right? When you're making a strategy, you're constraining yourself to a lesser world or a more constrained world that's supposed to keep you on the path, right? So that you won't diverge into erroneous areas, right? So this is why we have process, sort of to align minds, right? Like this is where we're going, right? To keep us on a sane path from where we are to some goal, to some successful goal, over and over and over again. But when we talk about big thinking, when we talk about creativity, when we talk about thinking outside of the box, to me this sounds like breaking out of this boundary, right? It sounds like something that cannot possibly be processified, right? If processified is a word. So the way I interpret it, it feels like the author of this book actually conforms to that idea, right? That it's hard to box the concept of thinking outside the box, right? That's completely paradoxical. Like it's boxing something is the opposite of thinking outside the box. Okay. So I want to give you 5 concrete things that I brought out from this book. Let's get going. The first one, I guess, is really about daring to think outside the box. He says this: managers are rarely blamed for doing again and again what they have done in the past. Managers are rarely blamed for doing again and again what they have done in the past, okay? Repeating the same things over and over again, right? He's saying they're rarely blamed for doing that, right? Even if they fail, right? It couldn't possibly be their fault. They've been doing that or have been carrying out that process for years and for years and for years. So if it fails now, perhaps it's the market, right? There's been some shift. It's not necessarily that one person's fault. So he follows up. He says this: small thinking is sticking with the status quo. Perhaps this is quite obvious, right? Just doing what we're doing, that's small thinking. Okay, big thinking, we need to think bigger. We need to think outside of what we're doing now. So here's another thing he says. He says, if your idea causes friction within the organization, do not worry. This may be a good sign that you are onto something big. Okay? If you're causing friction in the organization, right, that might be a good thing. Right? Because you're trying to break out of the patterns. You're trying to break out of the things that you've always been doing. And people get a little bit nervous, right? Because it's new and it's different and you're thinking bigger and they get, woof, what's going on, right? That kind of friction, it's a good sign, okay? So that's the first thing. Like, just remember that in order to think big, people are going to have to get nervous. Right? You're going to have to not break some rules, but break some habits. Right? Think outside the box. Dare to think outside the box. Don't worry when people get nervous. Okay? The second one, okay? Continuing on this sort of page about employees. Okay, this one is sort of how to foster creativity within an organization, how to grow creativity and grow creative minds within an organization. Two things, very quickly. He says, don't look for buy-in from employees, tap into their dreams. Okay? We'll continue on this. The second one, give employees stake, not a foosball table. Okay? Think about how many young and hip companies that you've seen with foosball tables or ping pong tables or etc., right? This is a different kind of creativity, right? When you're looking for big think, you're looking for creativity within the realms of the product or the service that you're selling, right? This is where the employees need stake. This is where they need play, right? Not just outside of the product. They need play and they need stake in the product. All right. Let me get more concrete. To the third point. This is about how we can start to think about iterating on our products or services and re-envision them and make them bigger, right? And innovate. Okay. He has 6 sort of categories that where you can think about where your product or service ends up within these 6 categories. And then you can pick each of these categories and say, okay, how can I reinvent myself within this category? So the categories are the product form, the product purpose, the product application, the consumption venue of the product, the sensory impact of the product, and the perceived benefit. All right, let me quickly go through what these means. The product form is about how is your product manifested physically. Or I mean, if it's a service, perhaps not physically, but he takes the example of toothpaste for all of these, okay? And for toothpaste, he then says in an almost liquid form, like in a cream form, perhaps, okay? But that's sort of the product form, right? Which makes us think, okay, how could we reinvent toothpaste to come in a different form? Secondly, the product purpose. Why are we using toothpaste? Right? For healthy teeth, for clean teeth, for white teeth, etc., etc. The product application. How do I use this product? Right? With a toothbrush on my teeth, scrubbing. Right? If you think about the electric toothbrush, for example, that's almost like a reinvention of the application. Not necessarily a big one, but sort of a reinvention. The consumption venue of the product. What's that? Okay, where do I consume this product? In my bathroom, preferably. Right? Can we reinvent that, right? Think about perhaps if you get to the office and you forget to brush your teeth, or you have to catch a train and you don't have time to brush your teeth. That's another consumption venue. Right? Can we reinvent for that consumption venue? Fifth, the sensory impact of the product. How does it feel to brush your teeth? What is it supposed to smell like? Right? It's almost clinical all the time. Right? Can we reinvent this? And the perceived benefit. Right? What do I think I gain out of brushing my teeth? Can we reinvent here? Okay, I'm just going through these very quickly, but try and think about your own product, right? And try to think about how you can reinvent within these categories. Go through these categories and say, okay, my product or service does this, but how could it be different? It can always be different, right? You just have to think about it. All right, next point. Fourth point. This one's also interesting. It's also sort of a framework for understanding. So this fourth point is about generic strategy types, okay? Types of big think strategies, okay? He really tries to catch all of the potential strategies. So hear me out. Here's the fourth. It's opposition, it's integration, it's essence, and transcendence, okay? Let me give you examples of these. So opposition is when you say, what does people usually want from this product? And then you say, let's do the complete opposite. Right? Sounds completely counterintuitive. But for example, what he says is the DIY movement. Right? Usually we don't want to do things by ourselves. But then the DIY movement says, hey, I'll just give you the parts and then you can do it yourself. Okay, think of IKEA, for example. Okay? So the second one was integration. So integration is about integrating seemingly incompatible concepts, such as, for example, high quality at fast speed. Right? Usually you would say these are non-compatible. Like if you want products at high speed, you may have to suffer in quality. Okay? So try to innovate in getting this integration going, even though people think it can't be done. The essence strategy. The essence strategy is simply about taking something to the extreme, right? You take an idea, you can even see it around you, but then you take it one step further, one notch further, just go extreme. So for example, he talks about eco products, right? Concretely, he talks about Whole Foods, but so like the green movement, like you want to be the essence of the green movement, the essence of an eco product, or like say solar energy, for example, right? Like you want to be the essence of solar energy driven products. Or you could apply this to luxurious products, right? Like the essence of luxurious products in some category. Okay, lastly on this fourth point. The fourth strategy is transcendence. Okay, this I actually think is more of a framework that can be useful to analyze cases of the past rather than as a way of reinventing the future. Right? It's a weird strategy to say to someone that okay, now go ahead and transcend the status quo and just make up something completely new. Right? I'm not sure if that's really a strategy in the sense that these other sort of sound like strategies. But with transcendence, he essentially means complete market disruptions, thinking new, right? Like really just taking a massive leap, right? So for example, he talks about the BlackBerry, right? Smartphones, basically. Serious market shift. Or microcredit, right? Like microloans, the ability to give loans to borrowers who wouldn't otherwise perhaps get a loan. All right, so let me just quickly wrap up with the last and the fifth point. Okay, the fifth point is very short. I just want to give you what he calls the big three of big think. Okay, so the three ways or the three qualities that you definitely, absolutely need in order to be and live and create big think. What you need is guts, passion, and perseverance. Okay? You need guts. You need to get in there and don't be afraid and just do it. You need passion. You need to want to do it, right? You want to create. And you need perseverance. Right? Because people are going to say you can't do it. People are going to say it's insane, say it's useless, etc., etc. Everybody will be on your case and you will have financial difficulties and, I don't know, legal difficulties. And I mean, just think about automated cars, right? Like self-driving cars, right? Like Google keeps on reinventing and other actors as well. They keep on inventing in self-driving cars, even though it's a legal aspect. They just say, never mind, we have guts and we have massive passion, right? And we persevere, okay? This is what we need for Big Think. Superb, okay, thank you. I'll sign off with that, but remember, the book is called Big Think Strategy, subtitled How to Leverage Bold Ideas and Leave Small Thinking Behind. It's written by Bernd H. Schmidt. Sorry if I pronounce his name incorrectly, but it's a superb book, definitely. There's absolutely a bunch of strategies in there that you can use to think bigger. Let me know what you think of the book. and let me know how you're thinking bigger. And if you have any suggestions on books that you want me to read on further, just hit me up. I would love to hear them. Thanks for watching.